Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Now don't worry, this video isn't about Newcastle United. Well, it sort of is, but it ties into West Ham, then potentially looking at buying one or two of our players, which I'll get onto in a second. This is a hypothetical video. This heavily depends on Newcastle's takeover going through. It looks like it's going to happen. It feels a bit more, the rumours have been there before, but I feel like this one is going to happen. It's going to go through. Mike Ashley's finally going to sell it, and I'm delighted for Newcastle United fans. I like them as a club. I like their fan base. I don't like what they've been doing in terms of furloughing the staff. For them as football fans, I'm happy for them as Newcastle United fans. But this is bad news for West Ham for two reasons. First of all, is the positioning in the league. We've already got the Sky Sports top six. You've then got Wolves, Leicester, who made real progress in getting into that group of clubs, if you like, fighting for European football. If this season was to stop now, let's just say, then start again in August as normal, we would expect Wolves and Leicester to potentially finish in the top six. Everton don't look like they're a million miles away now with Ancelotti at the helm, and a clever transfer window for them would see them knocking on the door of the top 8 spaces in the league. Now West Ham are trying to get there, but we seem to be a little bit away from those sides. And if Newcastle get taken over, if Newcastle get their recruitment right, and off the pitch and on it, and I'm talking about Steve Bruce here, then all of a sudden we've got a real contender on our hands here. This could see another side overtake West Ham in the sort of the aspect of challenging from European football. How far away are they from breaking into that top 6? At the minute today, Newcastle today, West Ham today, you'd have to shrug your shoulders and say, dunno, can't see it maybe. But as soon as Newcastle get taken over, you can see it. Because this lot are not coming to buy a club to finish mid-table in the Premier League. They're not even coming to buy a club to play in the Europa League. They're buying Newcastle United and looking to challenge for the title in England. Make no mistake about it, that will be their aim. It won't happen overnight, but I wouldn't be surprised their aim next season is to get European football, or very much be finishing in the top 10 with some good football for the fans to see. How do they get there? Investment, buying players. It's the only way to get there. We've seen it with Chelsea and we've seen it with Manchester City. When the big money came in, how they've done it. Newcastle have got a blueprint to follow. And if they do that, I think that spells even bigger trouble for West Ham. I remember when Chelsea got bought over and Manchester City, the first thing they do is you go buy, well, Chelsea back then, it was sort of like the non-top 3, top 4, because Man City wasn't there yet. They weren't there, that Chelsea, Spurs weren't there yet. So you go around the other clubs in the Premier League, you buy their best players, basically. Damien Duff, Scott Parker, Frank Lampard, Glenn Johnson. Chelsea went and bought all these players. They handpicked them from the other Premier League clubs, showed their money, showed their financial muscle. Man City come along, got bought over. They done exactly the same thing. Jolan Lescott at the back. Craig Bellamy. They went and got Craig Bellamy up front. Of course you go into the European market, but you stay in England as well. You go buy players from that country, from the Premier League, and you pool them together and make a club, make a team, which can then challenge for the rest. And I worry this is what Newcastle's going to do, and this is trouble for West Ham. Because if they're going to start targeting the best players from the non-top 6, the Sky Sports top 6 as I call them, I'm not sure they will be able to target Leicester or Wolves either. I think they'd have a hard job, apart from money. Wages, of course, they'll be better than Leicester and Wolves if they want to throw serious cash at it. But I would be surprised if they were to go sign James Maddison, for example, or they went to Wolves and got Ruben Neves. I would still be a little bit, but maybe eventually this is Newcastle's aim, to sort of challenge with them, overtake them, then go get those players. But initially, this summer, who would their realistic targets be? I think you start looking at the bottom half of the Premier League and you start looking at their best players, and that includes West Ham. Gonzo done a video earlier saying he thinks Diop might leave. Might not get as much money as we want for him, but he might leave. He doesn't think Rice would. And now, I sort of agree with that, because the problem is who can afford Declan Rice. You get where I'm going with this now, don't you? Newcastle United will be able to afford Declan Rice. If you were a Newcastle fan, you almost had to come up with your dream team of Premier League players. Declan would be a contender. He has to be. He's an England international. He's young. He plays in centre midfield, a pivotal position. I know they've got Sean Longstaff. There's no reason you can't have Sean Longstaff and Declan Rice in that team. In the starting 11, that is. Not just in the squad, in the actual starting 11. I see them linked with John McGinn already for 30 to 40 million. Perfect player to be linked with. Zaha, Nathan Ake at Bournemouth. These are the types of players I would expect Newcastle to be targeting. At West Ham, Declan Rice. He would be an obvious target for me, and it worries me actually, because I think West Ham will be under pressure to sell someone, and there's only 3 players. I've covered this already, and I disregarded the Declan Rice link a little bit because I thought, who can afford him? Who can justify spending that much money on a player in that position? And there isn't really anyone. It's easy to rule out the sides in the top 6, but it's not so easy to rule out Newcastle United. Like I said, this is all hypothetical. The takeover still might not happen. Even if they do, they've then got to want a player like Declan Rice in that team. But if West Ham got taken over today, and someone was to say to me, who do you think we should go for? Those are the types of players I would be targeting. Nathan Ake at Bournemouth. I'd be saying that's a perfect player for our centre-back. Let's get him in. Young, knows the league. With Declan, he's English as well. Ticks a lot of boxes. And it's a bit of a worry. It's a bit of a worry if Newcastle get bought over, because they've got the foundation there for such a big club. They are a big club. Some people call it sleeping giant. Sometimes I hate cliches in football, and that's one of them. But they are a sleeping giant, aren't they? They've got the ground, they've got the fan base, they've got the city, they've got the working class fan base up there, and everything is there and ready for investment. It would be an easy club to make successful if you have the cash, and now they're going to have the cash, and this is where the hard bit's done now. The easy bit is attracting players because you've got the wallet. The hardest player for Newcastle to get will be the first one. Once you've got 1 or 2 players in there, it becomes a bit easier to sell it to player number 3 and player number 4. It's easier to say to Rice, if they'd already signed, let's say they did sign Zaha, it's easy to say to Rice, look, we're not mucking about. We've spent this much money on Zaha. We're spending this much money on you, and we're going to go after another couple of players. We're not messing around here. Once you've got the first one over the line, the second one becomes easier. Once you've got the second one, third one becomes even easier. And I don't know, it's just a bit of a worry for me, actually, because someone commented on the video I done yesterday. It was a very fair comment. He said that once one player gets bought, the money filters through to all the other clubs. And that's correct, but you need that first club to go first, don't you? Newcastle could become that club that goes first, not just with one deal, but with 2 or 3 other deals as well. And that's where the question is to West Ham, how much do you want? Because that is the question, isn't it? Is Declan Rice sitting at home now thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind a move to Newcastle United? No, I don't think he is. But if the Saudis do take over Newcastle and start to invest heavily, would Declan then be tempted by joining an upcoming project that's going to be challenging for Premier League football? Because that will be their aim. Like I said, I'm convinced that's their aim. Declan's got time on his side. We know that. That's why we think he's not in a rush to leave West Ham. He can have another year at West Ham, another 2 years at West Ham, and still then go and win trophies. So would he be better served spending that 1 year, 2 year at Newcastle, and then by year 3 maybe they are good enough and ready enough to challenge for the top 4 as a minimum? Possibly. It's exciting times for Newcastle, actually. Am I jealous? Not as much as I thought it would be. For some reason, I thought, when it happened, you see people on social media saying, oh, why can't it happen to West Ham? I'm not really of that mindset yet, but I do think things are going to get a bit tougher for West Ham and every other club. It's not just West Ham, is it? If I was a Southampton fan, I'd be a bit worried that they'd maybe come knocking for Ward-Prowse, Danny Ings, and maybe looking at those players and thinking, this isn't good. Palace, Zaha. Any club that's what you would call an established Premier League club, but they're not like the clubs I've already mentioned, I'd be worried a little bit, because all of a sudden next season there's maybe 10 teams which I wouldn't say are guaranteed to stay up. No one's guaranteed to stay up, but they're extremely likely to stay up. And that leaves the other 10 fighting for survival. And the amount of clubs that are guaranteed to stay up, it's getting larger, isn't it? It's getting bigger. The number is getting bigger. And they're all going to have one advantage this summer in the transfer market: money. And that's a problem for us, I think. Anyway, let us know what you think. Am I talking rubbish? Probably. But I've just come home from work and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this video, because I phoned Charlie and I phoned Gonzo and I told them the same thing about Declan Rice, and both of them went, ooh. So I knew here's an interesting point. So anyway, let us know what you think. If enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. If you're a Newcastle fan, you've probably enjoyed it. If you are a Newcastle fan, I hope this one goes through for you. I really do. I know some top Newcastle fans. Newcastle Fan TV have always been good to us whenever we've needed a video. It's usually Lee that does it, but they're always happy to do it as well. So good on yous. Hopefully this move goes for you, but hopefully you don't come for Declan Rice. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. And myself and Gonzo will catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow night we're doing a cup of tea on this channel. So see you then.